Welcome to Will It Build, the series where I take your builds from my YouTube comments and Discord server and put them to the test to see if they are the real deal. If it's solid, then I'll gift you 1,000 silver, and if it's really something special, you'll be featured in a dedicated build video for your submitted build. So comment yours below so we can answer the question, will it build? Welcome back to another episode of Will It Build, where today we're actually changing things up a little bit. Before I show you exactly what this build is, I first want to show you what it's capable of in a master difficulty lost sector, highest difficulty we can be at, to kind of replicate the contest mode combat difficulty that we're going to see in Rite of the Nine coming up soon, because I think this build is absolutely going to bang for Rite of the Nine in any really endgame difficult contest. So let me show you what it can do, and then I'm going to show you how to put it together. First things first, we'll run in here. I'm going to hit that to proc our Facet of Dawn, so we get our Radiance, and so we sever everything. Also just kind of gets our unraveling engine started so that we have our unraveling orbs going everywhere. Procs all the threadlings going everywhere too. See our little bugs. Then we're going to juice up this guy, proc target lock. Once we're out of ammo, we're going to hit our dodge. We completely reload our Barodiad. A little manual reload right here. Got our panic response juicing. Smoking all of these enemies. Throwing out all the bolts. Then we're going to hit another dodge, stun this Overload Minotaur. Keep on spraying him. Boom, 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 boom. Grapple in, nail him with the grapple, pick up his tangle, throw the tangle, everything's dead. And then we'll clean up the rest of the trash mobs here. Got panic response ready to go. And as you can see, we got 2 dodge charges at the current moment in the bottom right. We'll fly up here with our grapple grenade, kill a couple of these enemies right here, let the Minotaur walk up, jolt him so we stun. Absolutely fry him, out of ammo, so we'll hit that again to proc our Marksman's dodge, and we get our 6x panic response to put him in the dirt. Got a bunch of fanatics right here. Gonna try and grab an orb of power somewhere around here if I can. And we're just going to continue cleaning up all of these enemies. Hit our dodge, so we create our Strand clone, since we have Wyverns up now, so the Wyverns are all going to shoot at our Strand clone instead of shooting at us. Then we'll throw that to sever everything. Strand clone's dead, so we're going to throw out another one, so the Wyverns are focused on it, while we absolutely destroy the Wyverns. Throw our panic response into this one again. Get our charges revved up. Hit another dodge, boom, boom, boom. We're going to pull out our rocket sidearm just for a brief moment so that we can get our anti-barrier. Manual reload right here. Barrier Hobgoblin absolutely gets cooked. Let's throw out another one of those suckers so that these guys stop shooting at us. They'll go ahead and shoot at the clone instead. Rocket sidearm. Pick this guy up. Boom, boom, boom. And we have unraveling rounds, so we can shoot right through his shield and put unraveling on him. We got a little tangle going right here. Let's hit the tangle. Let's hit the tether. Hit one of those. There's our panic response. We're going to hit this for Facet of Dawn. Hit our dodge to reload our guns. 6x panic response. Boss is dead already, but we got 2 more barrier hobgoblins that we do have to clean up if we want to get those platinum rewards. So we're going to nuke him with panic response. Hit another dodge. Hit the panic response. Then we're going to turn around, take a peek at the other guys over here. He's going to put up his barrier shield, smoke through it with unraveling rounds. Panic response on him. And that'll do the trick just like that. Now, the build you just saw in action is one that I have been eagerly waiting to put together since we received the Barodiad exotic submachine gun and learned that target lock was one of the optional perks on it, because when you pair this up with something like the Radiant Dance Machine's exotic boots and the Prismatic subclass and all of the mods I've got for you today, you get what you just saw right there, something that can absolutely mow through contest level content with just a primary ammo weapon. And your other 2 weapons literally don't matter whatsoever. The only time I pulled out a different weapon was my Lotus Eater to crack a champion shield. So you can literally run whatever special weapon you want with this build, whatever heavy weapon you want with this build, and you'll still be cooking. How do we put this together? Step 1, let's check out the perks on our Barodiad. And don't worry, if you don't have the target lock refit yet, I will show you exactly how to get it with ease. And I'll actually even show you an alternative acquisition method to getting this catalyst that takes like literally 5 seconds. So as far as crafting our Barodiad goes, I like hammer forged rifling on the barrel. It gives me the most range possible, which means I'm more effective from long distances. I like going appended mag, which increases the magazine size. You could go flared magwell, something that gives gives you a little bit of a better reload speed stat. But in my opinion, that's not really necessary because most of the time we're reloading by activating our class ability as opposed to actually reloading the gun manually. Right here, I like going Taken Ambition as my trait, which allows you to generate significantly more blight the longer that the weapon is on a target. This is exceptional for contest mode content, higher end content where enemies are a little bit tankier, as obviously it's going to take more bullets to kill them. You're going to have more sustained fire on them, which is going to proc Taken Ambition a lot, and it kind of goes one and the same with the target lock refit. If you're on level content where enemies are kind of made out of tissue paper and they're falling apart a little more quickly, you would swap this for the alternate option where you hit 3 different targets and it kind of procs like one for all to get that extra blight. And you would also then go with the one for all refit. But again, this is kind of a build that I'm putting together in anticipation for Rite of the Nine, the contest mode dungeon gauntlet that we're about to get in a couple of weeks. Finally, on the grip, I like going textured grip as it provides the most handling at the cost of stability. This is primarily because I'm just like really decent at kind of keeping my SMG. I'm kind of really good at controlling the recoil. So if you're not as good at controlling the recoil on your SMG, maybe go with whatever grip gives you more stability as opposed to handling, but I'll leave that choice up to you. Now, I do want to talk about the rest of the build before I talk about exactly how you want to get the target lock refit, the target lock catalyst for this SMG. So we're going to mosey on down here to the Radiant Dance Machine's exotic boots, which are significantly different than their original form when they were first introduced into Destiny 2. So now their exotic perk, the Dance, reads that you get moderately increased airborne effectiveness, hipfire mobility, range, and accuracy for weapons that use primary ammo, which of course our Barrow Dyad falls under that category. But what's really cool about these boots is now final blows with primary ammo weapons return dodge energy, which can overflow to create additional dodge charges when full, specifically up to a maximum of 3 dodge charges. And if we zoom here specifically on Radiant Dance Machines in the Destiny Data Compendium, so we can get some specific numbers on this type of stuff, we see right here that killing rank and file enemies, so that your typical squishy red bar enemies, if you get 3 of them, that is going to equate to a full extra dodge charge. Whereas if you kill an elite enemy or higher, so champions, mini bosses, orange bars, things of that nature, you just get a full dodge charge straight like that. And the reason this is so impactful is because if we link this up with Marksman's Dodge as our class ability, that means that we're able to juice up 2 to 3 dodges and very quickly get overflow on dodges and get our dodge back more quickly, so that we're never really manually reloading the Barrow Dyad. We can just simply activate our class ability to reload it. And the reason that's so important is because as we accrue blight with this weapon, both from Taken Ambition and the base Panic Response perk just by dealing damage, when we reload the weapon, and that's not just manual reloading, that's Marksman's Dodge of course, we convert all of that stored blight into blighted seekers up to 6, which are basically micro missiles that absolutely nuke enemies. So the idea of how this is going to work is we're going to use our Barrow Dyad to kill a lot of trash mobs to proc our Radiant Dance Machines to overflow on multiple charges of our dodge. Then we're going to eventually come across a tanky target so that we can spray the entire Magadet to proc both Taken Ambition to get a ton of blight and to start stacking up our target lock on that target, which will allow us to deal up to 40% bonus damage. Then, because we have so many stacks overflows of our class ability from killing the trash mobs thanks to our Radiant Dance Machines, we'll then proc our Marksman's Dodge to automatically reload Barrow Dyad and convert all of that stored blight into the micro missiles, and we'll shoot all 6 of the micro missiles at that tanky target. Then, since we have extra charges of our dodge from Radiant Dance Machines, we'll mag dump on it again, proc both of these bad boys again, hit our Marksman's Dodge again, and we slice through literally any target strictly with primary ammo, as long as we're just continuously shooting at things and killing things. It's that simple. Now, what's particularly interesting about this setup that we have is that we're not actually going to be proccing Marksman's Dodge through the dodge itself, but rather through our first aspect, Ascension, which while we activate our air move while airborne, we consume our class ability energy and simultaneously activate that class ability. So even though we're not technically doing a Marksman's Dodge, when we use our Ascension to use our class ability energy to activate Ascension, it will still proc Marksman's Dodge, reloading our current weapon. Ascension also is going to jolt a bunch of enemies around us and give us Amplified, which is important for a whole slew of reasons that we'll get to in a brief moment. And this is going to pair exceptionally well with Threaded Spectre in our second aspect slot as well, not only because it gives us an additional 3 fragment slots, which means we have a total of 6 fragments for this build, but also because if we're constantly overfilling our dodge charges with primary ammo weapon kills thanks to Radiant Dance Machines, it means that we pretty much can spam dodges up to 3 charges at a time if we get fully loaded on it, and we always have Ascension available, we're always amplified, we're always jolting everything, we're always proccing our Marksman's dodge, and we're always making those strand clones so that nothing is even shooting at us anyway, which makes it all the easier to spray down every single enemy with Barrow Dyad and keep that loop going. Now, if we come down to our basic abilities, I really like the Grapple Grenade personally. We'll talk about some reasons why I think Grapple Grenade is so good in this build in a second. And then I also love Threaded Spike, mainly because it kind of feeds into itself with being able to get back melee ability energy when you catch the Threaded Spike, but also because Sever is just such a powerful debuff overall, cuts enemy damage by 40%, which is incredibly impactful in any piece of high-end content that you play because enemies are always going to be a lot more threatening. So being able to snap your fingers and cut their damage virtually in half is extremely impactful. Now, when we come down to our fragments, Faceted Protection is a no-brainer in any prismatic build. Bonus damage resistance, we're always going to take that. Facet of Dawn is going to make it so that our powered melee hits against targets are going to make us radiant, so we get even more bonus weapon damage on top of that target lock refit that we've already got with the Barrow Dyad. And I love this a lot because it procs not only through the powered melee hit of Threaded Spike, but also through our grapple melee, which also counts as a powered melee hit. So we actually have 2 ways to proc Facet of Dawn. And the same is true for the Facet of Bravery, where defeating targets with grenade final blows are going to grant volatile rounds to our void weapons, but the one I care a lot more about is defeating targets with powered melee final blows grants unraveling rounds to our strand weapons. Reminder that Barrow Dyad is a strand weapon, which since both of these count as powered melee final blows, this means that we have 2 ways to give unraveling rounds to our strand weapons. Now, granted, we are currently in an episode that does have the Unraveling Orbs artifact perk, so this fragment is a little less necessary this episode. However, when we get to the next episode or the next expansion and whatnot, and Unraveling Orbs is gone, this build will still work perfectly, and you'll still be able to have Unraveling rounds on Barrow Dyad up very frequently because of this fragment. So this build is very evergreen as a result of that. And I do want to leave a clarification here. If you do decide to run void weapons with this build and you want to be able to get grenade final blows to give volatile rounds to those void weapons, grapple melee counts as both a powered grenade and a powered melee. So getting those grapple melee final blows will indeed give volatile rounds to your void weapons. Another fragment that benefits from the fact that both of our basic abilities count as powered melee damage is the Faceted Blessing, where melee final blows are going to start health regeneration, which is really nice for remaining healthy and really nice for our survivability loop in terms of getting HP back whenever we want. Next up, we got the Faceted Purpose. Anytime we pick up an Orb of Power, we're going to get Overshield, because I really love running Tether with this build. If you want to run a different super and as a result get a different elemental buff off of Faceted Purpose, be my guest. But I really like Tether. I think it's exceptional in endgame content. Doesn't really require any specific exotic armor pieces to reach its full potential, like something like Golden Gun does, where you kind of want to have Nighthawk on instead. And I think Overshield is really good. Bonus hit points plus bonus damage resistance. What's not to love? Now, for our 6th fragment, originally I was really loving having something like the Facet of Hope on, because while we have an elemental buff, which we always do, we have Ascension up always, you get bonus class ability regeneration rate, which seems like a no-brainer in a build like this. But as I've been testing it for a while now, I am actually not a huge fan of the Facet of Hope, and the main reason for that is because this is really only applicable to your build if you have no class ability energy and you're passively regenerating from 0 class ability charges up to 1. But the reality of the situation with this build is if you're playing it properly and you're continuously getting kills with your primary ammo weapon, your Barrow Dyad, on the trash mobs, you're going to scoop up plenty of class ability energy through killing those enemies thanks to Radiant Dance Machines. And once you have 1 charge of class ability energy, there's no such thing as passive class ability energy regeneration getting you from 1 charges to 2 charges. The only way to overflow on your charges is through proccing Radiant Dance Machines with your primary ammo weapon kills. So as a result, I really feel like Facet of Hope doesn't really do anything for us in a lot of situations, because if you already have 1 class ability charge, Facet of Hope's doing nothing for you. So I've been experimenting with a lot of things, and I've really enjoyed the Facet of Balance, where the main thing we're getting out of this is rapidly defeating targets with darkness damage is going to grant grenade energy. Darkness damage, of course, coming from our Barrow Dyad final blows, since it is a strand weapon. It just means we have our grenade up more frequently, which means we can proc these 3 fragments a lot more frequently as well. If you think that something else would work better here, I think there are applications for Solitude potentially. I'll leave that up to you, but this is what I've been really enjoying as I've been testing out this build. Now, as we come down and we look at our armor mods, a big thing to keep in mind is that whilst Ascension does activate our class ability effect, so Marksman's Dodge, Gambler's Dodge, or Radiant Dodge, it does not activate class ability based mods, things like Distribution, things like Reaper, things like Powerful Attraction, things like Dynamo. I don't know if this is a bug or not, but whether it is unintended or whether it is in fact intentional that Ascension is not proccing these things, they don't work at the current moment. With that in mind, what I've been loving running for this build is like a Strand Siphon so that my Barrow Dyad Weapon Final Blows create Orbs of Power. And then I love going a Heavy Ammo Finder and a Heavy Ammo Scout. This is obviously for team play. If you're doing solo play, you can get some greedier mods in here if you want. You don't really need the Scout, obviously. Down on the gloves, I love going heavy-handed, Powered Melee Final Blows create Orbs of Power. Like we said before, that's applicable to both grapple, melee, and your Threaded Spike Final Blows. And then I really like going Momentum Transfer and Impact Induction. So we've got causing damage with a grenade reduces our melee cooldown, and causing damage with a powered melee attack reduces our grenade cooldown. You might be thinking why we're not going into any class ability regeneration mods right here, and it's the same reason that I don't really love running the Facet of Hope on this build. It's because we don't really need a lot of class ability regeneration, because one, it's not doing anything if we're already at least one dodge charge, and two, even if we're not at least one dodge charge, we get so much of class ability regeneration from Radiant Dance Machines just by getting kills. Furthermore, at tier 10 mobility, Marksman's Dodge is on a very low cooldown. And what's nice is you don't even have to have tier 10 mobility on your stats to get that effect. You actually only want to be at tier 5. Reason being is because since we have so many class ability charges with this build, we're able to always proc Ascension. Always proccing Ascension means that we're always amplified. And one of the benefits of being amplified is that you get a 50 stat point bonus to your mobility, which means if you're at 50 mobility, but you're amplified all the time, then you're functionally at 100 mobility as far as your class ability cooldown is concerned. Moving down to the chest, I always love going Concussive Dampener in conjunction with 2 resistances, depending on the damage type of the enemies that I'm fighting. Down on the boots, the Radiant Dance Machines, I've been loving Double Strand Weapon Surge. This allows me to get a 17% bonus damage buff to my Barrow Dyad. That's of course stacking with Facet of Dawn and the Target Lock refit. And then I like going with a Harmonic Scavenger. Like I said, I kind of like going Void Weapons with this in the Special and Heavy slot because of the Facet of Bravery. If I get a Grenade Final Blow, they get volatile rounds. Plus, I can fit the Harmonic Scavenger in here for 1 cost because I am using Tether. If I wanted to go a different element of Scavenger, I would have to lose my stat mod, and I'd like to keep it ideally. Finally, down on the class item, this one's a little tough because once again, our Ascension activations don't proc most of the mods down here. It doesn't work on Reaper, Distribution, Outreach, Bomber, Powerful Attraction, all the good ones. So I like going Double Time Dilation so that my armor charge stacks last a lot longer. So I basically always have the Strand Weapon Surge up and available. Now, obviously, we know that the build does indeed build, as you saw from the introductory footage of this video, but I do want to do another run of a Master Lost sector now that you know exactly how all these parts and pieces fit together, to show you in a little more step-by-step process exactly how you want to play it, what mindset you want to have depending on which situation you're in, when to use the dodges, when to hold on to the dodges, and all that good stuff. Before we do that though, I do want to show you the fastest way to get the Target Lock refit so you can get that on your Barrow Dyad. If you already have it, you can go ahead and skip ahead to the timestamp on screen right now. To get the Target Lock refit on the Barrow Dyad, you need 3 Coalescence of the Night. You'll get one of these simply by going through the seasonal or episodic rather story quests. So just complete Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 all the way through. I believe it is specifically called the Mission Dossier Blade Logic quest, which you'll get from the Shaping Slab once you progress the main story enough. So that'll be number 1. Numbers 2 and 3 will come from the Nether, and you can do these completely solo. You'll just want to come to the last city, the top left Nether node, the Nether Explorer, and you'll just continuously launch until you either load into the Hull Breach area or the Founts area. So as you continue to reload this node, you'll eventually get the Founts as your starting area. Once you load into here, you'll simply run straight until you get to this pack of acolytes right here and take a right turn through this door. That will then take you onto this bridge. You'll go all the way down the bridge until you get to this main hallway where you'll take a left. Then after here, you'll look to your right and see a broken in window with some tentacles coming through it. You'll hop into this room, And somewhere in this room, on the walls or on some of these pillars right here, you should see a hive rune with a symbol on it that looks just like this. Unfortunately, you're not guaranteed to get this hive symbol in this room specifically in every instance of the fount, so you might have to get into the founts 2, maybe 3 times, but it can be anywhere in this room. I found mine personally the first time right here on this wall, but it can supposedly be on the wall anywhere here or on any of these columns. And no, the path that you're on does not matter. It doesn't matter if you're on ambition or resolve. So once you find it, you'll simply shoot the rune. It'll then dissipate and disappear. And then you'll notice this door right here is going to open up just for, to get your bearings. This is the window we came into right here. So it'll kind of be straight into your left. Now, you're going to run in here. There's going to be a hole that you can hop down. And you do have a limited amount of time because you accrue stacks of suffocating terror while you're down here. But you basically want to kind of traverse the maze until you eventually find an area where you can hop down and find a chest. Now, allegedly, the path here is not always the same. So you're just going to kind of have to feel your way around here. It's not too cavernous or anything like that, but you're basically looking for something like this where at the bottom you see a taken orb. You shoot the taken orb, that will spawn a chest, and you will get your second coalescence of the knife from this chest. Now, for the coalescence of the knife that comes from the hole breach area, again, you can get here just by continuously relaunching that node. You're going to run straight forward at this like little pylon right here, and we're actually going to kind of hug the right side a little bit. And once you get to this area right here, you'll turn around 180 degrees and you'll see this blue Cabal flag and hopefully a Toland orb in front of it, similar to the hive rune in the founts. You are not guaranteed to have Toland in this position here, so you might have to load into the hole breach 2 or 3 times to get the instance where he is here. But once you find him right here, you'll go ahead and scan Toland. He will go ahead and blink away, and in his wake will spawn a taken enemy. You'll go ahead and kill him real quick, nothing too crazy. And then once you kill that taken enemy, you'll hop down this ledge and you'll notice that a door into this cave right here has opened up, or rather it's always open, but you'll notice that you can use a Cabal unlock code now to open this orange barrier, and you'll be able to interact with this chest to get your third coalescence of the knife. Once you have all 3 coalescences of the knife, you'll want to be in the hole breach area, and you're actually going to go to the other side of the map where Hootsufer is over here. And we're going to run all the way over here into this door. And once we're in this door right here, my power just went out. Give me 1 sec. Thank God for UPSs. You're going to notice that you can interact with this right here, Crossed Blades Tithe Found Worthy, and that is going to spawn a portal for you to get the target lock refit. Now, what's absolutely spectacular about getting this catalyst is that if you have a friend who can interact with this node, then you yourself actually don't have to do anything that I've mentioned so far. So I've got Hootsufer in my fire team at the current moment, who does have all 3 coalescence of the knife. So if he walks up here and interacts with this console right here, you'll notice that he himself actually can spawn the portal, and I, even if theoretically I don't have any of them, I can hop in the portal and go ahead and get the target lock refit quest. So Hootsufer went ahead and interacted with that, turn on the portal. Even if you haven't done anything that I've mentioned so far, you can still hop in there as long as you're in an instance with them, and you can collect these chests, which will of course give you the target lock refit quest. And if you don't have any friends to reach out to who could potentially do this for you, if you really don't want to go and get those 3 coalescences of the knife, you can try our Discord server linked in the description below, where maybe someone in the LFG channel would be generous enough to go ahead and backpack you to this area, or stop by the live stream, twitch.tv/Mactics, where I film all these live, by the way, and see if someone in the chat would be willing to hook you up with a quick little portal spawn. So now that you know how to acquire everything for this build and how all the pieces fit together, I'm going to go back into another Master Lost sector. This could be 23 power levels above what I currently am, and I'm going to show you exactly how you want to use this, what methodology you want, when to use which abilities, so that you can execute it to perfection. So my general rule when using this build is if I'm fighting red bar enemies, I try to not use my dodge / ascension to reload the Barrow Dyad. I try to do manual reloads if I'm just able to mow through enemies and there's not a tanky target that needs to be bursted down rather quickly. That way, I'm stockpiling all of my dodges so that when I do eventually run across a tanky target, I have tons of dodges ready to go, and I can mag dump 3 consecutive times into a tanky champion or a tanky mini boss or something of that nature. So as you can see right here, I'm doing a lot of manual reloading with the Barodiad because I'm really just trying to get final blows on these red bar enemies to stockpile those charges. What's nice too is the missiles from a distance are spectacular. And so I got this Overload Minotaur right here. I'm going to hit the dodge to jolt him and to reload my gun. Unfortunately, I am out of dodge charges. I had to use 2 back-to-back because I missed the jolt on him with my initial ascension, so I had to use ascension number 2 to get him. But right here, I'm not really concerned. Even if I did have a dodge available, I wouldn't really be concerned with dodging to try and kill those red bar enemies, because right now I'm just trying to stockpile my charges on my dodge. So right here, back to red bar enemies. Here we have a tankier enemy, though. I need to hit the ascension so that I can stun him with the jolt. And I wanted to ascend anyway because give amplified myself, give myself bonus damage resistance, make myself a little tankier when I'm fighting him, all that good stuff. But right now we're back to killing red bar enemies. So right now I'm just kind of chilling out. Really weak right here. That is not good. And now I'm just back to trying to stockpile the dodges. I also want to get some melee regeneration going, so let's fly over in here and proc the Faceted Blessing with a melee final blow. Also going to give me Dawn, also going to proc Bravery because it was a powered melee final blow. And I'm taking a lot of heat now, so I'm going to dodge not only to refill my Barodiad, but also to generate a clone so that the clone soaks up all of the enemy fire. Another reason that you can proc clones as well is not even necessarily if you're fighting a tanky target, but if things are just if you're getting a lot of heat, throwing up a clone just so that the enemies start shooting at your clone instead of shooting at you, so you can safely get your Barodiad shots off and get that blight stack, is also spectacular. Anytime you have a tangle, if you can, try and take advantage of the tangle by throwing it and then grappling to it to get a free grapple charge off to proc all of your melee-based fragments and mods and things of that nature. So now we have this Barrier Hobgoblin right here. We're going to load up the target lock out of ammo. So we have our dodge ready to go, and that Barrier Hobgoblin gets eviscerated. What's really nice too is if you get the final blow with your Barodiad on a champion, it gives you a full dodge charge back. So even if you're at 0 dodge charges when you kill a champion, if you kill it with the Barodiad, then you'll just get that dodge charge back right away. And you'll be ready to go for your next target, as we can see right there. Got a Hydra right here that we're going to finish off. And we have 2 dodge charges right now going into this. I'm going to drop my tether. And I'm going to kind of mix between doing boss damage. So we'll hit a dodge right here because we do have 3 charges. Wow. Actually don't even really need to worry about that at all. Apparently we just basically one-shot him. And then we're going to go back to mopping up all the enemies, manually reload for the red bars. And now that we have this tankier Barrier Hobgoblin, pull out the sidearm to break his shield, throw our melee to proc Faceted Dawn, hit our Ascension to reload and put all of our Blight into the 6 Blighted missiles, and then we'll do basically the exact same thing with this Barrier Hobgoblin. I'm going to take out his shield first, then we're going to hit that, hit our dodge so we get our 6 micro missiles, magged up on him again. Once I see my Blight meter is full, I'll dodge again, jolts him, loads all of the Blight into my micro missiles, and then he gets absolutely smacked. Is this going to be the best build for Rite of the Nine? I don't know. Rite of the Nine's not out yet. And any build that utilizes a primary ammo weapon for your exotic weapon is, generally speaking, not always the greatest for contest mode content. However, I think that narrative does begin to shift a little bit when you see that Barodiad is effectively acting as a special weapon with the Blighted Seekers in terms of how much damage it's able to pump out with the Blighted Seekers combined with target lock. And I think you're going to have a really good time in contest mode content utilizing a primary ammo weapon as one of your primary sources of busting down mini boss targets, champion targets, and things of that nature. Doesn't mean you should be doing boss DPS. Don't be going into dungeons and trying to cook the final boss wizard or trying to cook Ekthar with Barodiad damage. But for all the phases and things of that nature, for everything in between, I think this thing is going to be absolutely spectacular for not only survivability, but just mowing through ads, having Unravel going everywhere, everything is severed, all that good stuff. I'm probably going to do a full 100% build guide, nicely edited, nice and pretty, and all that good stuff for this build once Rite of the Nine does actually drop. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Please be sure to like the video if you did, subscribe to the channel to see future builds, and as always, have a great day.